All right, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. So, look, man, today's episode, we're going to talk about will Drake next album be career defining or career ending? You know what I'm saying? So, we're going to get into this, man. Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is, man. All right, so let's get it, man.
Drake's next album is seemingly going to be titled Iceman due to the hints that he's been giving us through social media. This album will be legacy defining though for Drake, if you let me tell it. We all know what happened to Drake over the last year or so. It's not a secret. I don't need to go into depth over it again. We know what happened. He lost the biggest rap beef of all time between himself and Kendrick Lamar.
Yo, it's so bad, bro. It's so bad how Drake lost. I just think about it every day. I never seen somebody take a L like this in anything. He's still getting beat. It's so crazy. But I understand what he's saying. Like, we ain't got to keep talking about it, but. ah! Ah, man. Damn.
But not to get corny, it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you can get back up.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The whole world was watching Drake and Kendrick. We still kind of are at this point. While Kendrick goes on his stadium tour and basically victory laps all around the North American continent, Drake, I don't know. He's in a very weird state right now. He's kind of tucked off into the corner. And without even really realizing it, I think that everyone is low-key anticipating whatever Drake's next solo move will be because, we got the little collab album, but his next solo move will have everyone seated because we all want to know what his next step's going to be. We all want to know how he's going to react to such a major event happening and him coming out on the losing end of it. Right now,
I will say this. I heard him in a song that it's actually, from what I'm hearing, from what I'm hearing, it's a song featuring Playboy Cardi. And I heard his portion, and it doesn't sound like he learned anything. Um, I mean, that could be a trick. It could be an old song. You never know. Iceman could be different. But I haven't. I talked about what I believe Iceman is gonna do on my other page. So if you want to check that video out, make sure you go to Torture Chamber and check that video out. But the link for the other page is in the description. So let's keep going.
Drake is defeated and he's crushed. However, there's no more dangerous animal than an animal who's wounded. What's good, YouTube? It's Justice. I used to be paying. Today I'm back with another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the possible legacy implications that Drake's next album, Iceman, might have. This will be the first of 2 Drake videos that I'm going to drop very, very soon, with the second one being a little bit more ambitious, a little nerdy, if I might even say myself, so it might not appeal to you, but just be on the lookout for it. But before we get into this video today, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It helps me out a ton. With Maul from the Rory and Maul podcast, who has a connection to Drake, tweeting that this album, Iceman, has a bomb on it, a lot of the internet took off with that tweet and blew it up out of proportion. Oh my God, Drake's gonna respond to Kendrick. We're getting the diss battle part 2. Oh my God, Kendrick, so you're in trouble, Kendrick. Drake's not done yet. But in reality, Maul went on his podcast to say that's not what he meant. He just meant that the album had a bomb on it. The album had a really good song on it. The album had something that's going to be a banger on it. I think that it's clear, though, from the title of this album, it being Iceman, that Drake is entering like a cold-hearted phase when it comes to the industry, or it comes to just people in his circle. I think we're going to hear a lot of bars about people turning their backs on him, a lot of bars about his heart turning cold, a lot of bars about him no longer showing the love that he used to. Because if you're looking at this situation from Drake's perspective, let Drake tell the story. A lot of people turned their back on him in 2024. In the summer of 2024, a lot of people that he thought was pretty cool with him or was close to him kind of kicked his back in. So
Now that I think about it, this might sound like a delusional take, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree that a lot of people turned their back on him. I think that there was the same people that he had a problem with just came at him. But Rick Ross was the only other person who did a diss track that was aimed at him. For the most part, that battle was between him and Kendrick. He was the one that was going at everybody. Metro Boomin did some things, but he ain't a rapper. Future ain't come out and actually diss Drake. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he made it that way. He made it that way. But I mean, honestly, I believe Kendrick Lamar, everybody stepped back and they let it happen. They let this battle happen.
I think that we're going to be getting a lot of that emotion from Drake, that betrayed feeling, because I think that a lot of the stuff that happened with people that were really close to him, especially somebody like LeBron, I think that genuinely hurt Drake's feelings. And this is Men's Mental Health Month, so we're not going to try and make that a joke. Like, I'm not trying to be funny when I say, oh my God, it hurt Drake's feelings, because nah, man, dude's got emotion too. You're a man, you got emotions. It's okay to say your feelings got hurt every now and then. But Drake has been a guy that, no matter if you like him or you dislike him, he's been one of the most well-networked industry rappers ever. He messes with everybody in the industry from all different sides, all different corners. That's just always been a thing. If somebody's doing something over here, Drake is there. If something's popping over there, Drake is there. He's always been showing a bunch of love. So for the industry to kind of turn on him in the summer of 2024, I bet for himself, or not even necessarily to turn on him, for some of the industry to turn on him, yes, but for them to not defend him as well, or to not really feel like they had his back, that probably did really affect Drake.
I understand what he's saying, but how are you gonna have his back? In what sense should these people have his back? Like, what are they gonna do? Diss Kendrick? Like, and listen, I'm just giving him some pushback on that. I'm not saying that he's totally wrong. I'm just saying, if you look at it from that point of view, how, like, what else, what would they had done? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was they going to do? This was between him and Kendrick. And I think that that's the issue that we run into when it comes to Drake. Everybody always caping for him. We always make it seem like he has these emotions and these feelings that we have to cater to. But he was the one that got himself into this. It wasn't just Kendrick came out and dissed him. Drake been dissing Kendrick for years, and it finally came to the forefront. That's what happened. You know.
The reason why this album is legacy defining for Drake is because, yeah, he's been getting his back kicked in by the entire world for a year now, but he's also been called into question as an artist and where he really stands, especially nowadays. Like, now, modern days Drake especially has been called into question, but even where he stands all time, what his legacy really is as a musician, not just, you know, his impact in the numbers and the commercialized, but like really as a musician. While the questions about his character and the predator, oh, is he a predator? And the questions about the potential vices that he might have as a human being can't really be answered through music, even though, I mean, he can try, but it probably won't be answered through music. The questions about who he is as an artist definitely can be answered through this album. The questions of him, you know, needing younger rappers to give him some juice in this modern era, like a Lil Yachty. The questions of him having to run to Atlanta for cultural currency and needing that to get into the club scene and get into the places where people are really listening to his music outside of just like the, you know, commercial, Spotify, you know, rap caviar playlisting stuff. The questions of him really being just on Kendrick's level or being better than Kendrick or where Drake and Kendrick stand. These are all statements and questions that Drake should be looking at and trying to answer and answer definitively with this next album.
I get what he's saying. And I said the same thing. Do I believe that I don't think that Drake is going to give us anything different from what he's been giving us. He may have a couple of joints on a couple of songs on it that's fire, but he's already set in his ways. And I hate to say that, but Drake hasn't grown as an artist. He needs fuel from other artists. And since there's not other artists outside of Kendrick Lamar that's doing music, he's not going to do anything. Now, I would be shocked if Drake does a complete rap album and it's totally different from what he usually does. I would be shocked. But I think that he don't know how to do a complete rap album. I think that he's searching for something because he's been trying to chase these hits for so long that he's searching for the next hit. That's what he wants. He don't want to be. I don't think Drake wants to be a rap legend. He wants to be a music legend. So if he can beat Michael Jackson or beat the Beatles or whoever he needs to beat, then he looks at it like, well, I did something that no rapper ever did. That's how he looks at it. And it doesn't matter how much music it is or how good the music it is. It don't matter how good the music. In his head, it just matters that his legacy is he's bigger than Mike because he got more hits than Mike. That's how he looks at it. And people fall for it. They be like, oh, yeah, Drake's the best ever. He got more hits than Michael Jackson. You'd be like, well, let's talk about those hits and the climate of where those hits were placed at. If the hits were, there was nobody around and the song was ass and then it was a hit, are you counting that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Drake, to me, has been coasting for a very long time now. I'm not saying that Drake hasn't dropped good music. I'm not saying that Drake isn't trying to drop good music, but I don't feel like he's putting his best foot forward every time he drops an album. I don't feel like he has that fire, that hunger, that just urge to prove people wrong and be number one in terms of not just numbers, but skill. And that's understandable. The dude's probably like close to a billionaire. I get not having that hunger, you know, I understand it, but I feel like since like Scorpion and beyond, he's been kind of chilling. Like the last album where I really felt like Drake had that fire in him to really push it and really try to prove something was probably the project. If you're reading this, it's too late. That's probably the last time where I'm like, yeah, Drake was really like, he was really in his Duffy the whole album, like really trying. But
That was years ago. And see, this is why I say, when we talking about Kendrick and Drake, you got to be real, real careful, because even if you go off and say Kendrick Lamar album, Mr. Morale was a weak album, which I totally disagree with that. Even if someone says that, it's still better than most of Drake's projects. I would even go as far as saying it's probably better than all Drake's projects. But this is what I'm saying. Look at all of Kendrick's projects and then look at Drake's projects. Every time someone says something about a Drake project, it's usually nothing was the same. If you're reading this, it's too late. Years ago, whenever someone says something about Kendrick, the best Kendrick album is either recent or it's not that far, not that long ago. And if they do, they reference Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, or Damn, Mr. Morale, and GNX. Come on, bro. Even some people still say Section 80, like, but I understand.
Drake has been so dominant in terms of being number one in the numbers department that, yeah, that makes sense. He's chilling now. The only time where I felt like we were possibly going to get Drake back in that mode was after the Pusha T beef when he dropped Scorpion. But I feel like Scorpion was already such a developed album that he couldn't really do that with that project without having to scrap basically the whole idea, the whole concept of Scorpion. But Drake just got humiliated on an international scale. Like, I don't want this to be forgotten. They danced on his grave at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, the biggest thing in American media annually, the biggest event in American media annually. During the middle of the game, they danced on your grave, Drake. They danced on your grave, Drake. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Like I'm getting passionate, but what are you going to do? What, they danced on your grave at the Super Bowl game?
There's really nothing he can do. Kendrick got his numbers. Nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do. He could come back with the craziest album ever. It's not gonna do anything because with Kendrick Lamar done, he's put a stain on him that he can't remove. He can't remove Not Like Us. That song is gonna forever be. He better off just trying to do the remix. He better off saying, "Yo, Kendrick, let's just get past this and let's do Not Like Us remix." Even though that'll never happen, but that's what he's better off doing. Like for real, because it's the only way he's gonna get past it.
You can't let that. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear One Dance. I don't want to hear One Dance. They danced on your grave at the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear that. Hotline Bling. I don't want to hear that. I need you to lock in, bruh. For real. Like even Drake fans, they won't even Drake fans won't say that he won the battle. Like they will. If you say who won, they'll say, "Oh, Drake." And then you press them on it and you're like, "Well, what about this? What about this?" More times than not, they'll go from he won to, "Well, it was a draw. They both lied." I see it as a draw, bro. Like they didn't really, they both said this. Well, Kendrick said this and Drake said that. They lied, so it's a draw. Anytime you're talking to somebody about a confrontation that happened where there's gonna be a winner and a loser, like a fight or something like that, and the person says, I feel like it was a draw. If they're like arguing for a draw, that person lost, bro. More times than not. All right, there's gonna be that time where it really was a draw, but more times than not, if you're arguing with somebody and they say, "Nah, hell no, I ain't lose. It was a draw," they lost, bro. They lost. That's what every time I see a clip of Drake fans arguing over the beef, who won, they go back to, "It was a draw, bro. I think it was a draw." And
I guess I be around a lot of people who think Kendrick won that battle. I mean, I talked to some people, but most of the people that are Drake fans that I know, they got Drake losing. They like, nah, Drake lost. I love Drake. I actually like Drake more than Kendrick, but he lost. He lost. That's how they look at it. They look at it like that.
Anybody that says that, no, they know they lost. It's just a little too ridiculous for them to say they won, so they'll be like, "Hey, we both didn't win necessarily." The response to this situation has to be an elite one. Otherwise, this will forever be seen as the downfall of Drake and his legacy. Even though it is unfair to try to define Drake this late into his career, there's no doubt that people will do that. Drake could go on and make an album full of no.
I don't think that's unfair. Everybody falls. I mean, if you want to say that Drake is going to be on top forever, I don't believe so. If his numbers are where they're at, number wise, he's out of here, yeah. But culturally, he's not. You know what I'm saying? He has older hits that keep him around. Now I'm gonna put it to you like this: if there was, and I hate to say this because I hate using ifs and hypotheticals, but if there wasn't no streaming, Drake would have been over a long time. He would have been over. This battle would have ended his career. But since there's streaming and there's streaming numbers that's gonna keep going and going and going, it's the same thing gonna happen with Kendrick. There's streaming numbers gonna keep going. This is why he's where he's at. You know what I'm saying?
Nokias and make a bunch of money and have a few hits, but that would be what everyone expects of him now. Modern day Drake is the commercial guy who mails it in on his albums with a few hits, and to the people, Drake is McDonald's. He is Starbucks. He is Target. This version of Drake is not a serious contender for one of the GOATs. It's not even in contention for the best rapper in the world now. For Drake's entire career, there have been questions surrounding his legacy from rap purists, if you're in these rap purist circles. It started off as, well, Drake's not even a rapper. He's not hip hop. Drake is more of a singer than he is a rapper. He's more pop than he is rap. And if they did say he was a rapper, they're like, Drake, he's pretty good. He's cool. He got some cool little songs every now and then, but he's nowhere near the level of Kendrick. He's just, a little bit more popular than Kendrick. And then it would be,
That's a fact. That's a fact. What he's saying is a fact. And a lot of these hip hop circles, they do say that. Now I will say this about Drake. I think that honestly, I think that him being so popular, it really hurts. It really hurts him in a way. If you think about it, in my opinion, it hurts him in a way because now he's kind of beholden to making music the way his fan base wants him to make it. He can't really go out and make music the way he wants to make it if he wants to make something different, because they're gonna say he fell off. So it's really difficult to be in the situation he's in right now. So let's keep going.
Drake, he's a chameleon. He just kind of blends into whatever's popping. He takes advantage of a new wave that he didn't have to innovate. He's not an innovator. He's not a creative. He's just kind of a guy that sees things that are going on and they jump on that and they take it to the moon. These are all narratives that have become extremely loud for Drake over the last year or so. But these are things that people have been saying about Drake since the very beginning. It's just now, it's not, 5% of the rap audience who, everyone's like, oh, y'all just hating on Drake. Why y'all just hating on Drake? Now it's like 40 to 50% of the rap audience that legitimately feels this way about Drake as an artist. I know that this wave of hate for Drake, not just as a person, but really as a rapper, feels like it's new, and these ideas that people are spreading feel like they're new, but these are not new ideas. These are not new critiques. These are things that have been said for years. They're just being parroted by the wider audience now. If this album is weak in terms of the quality, but not just the quality, the rapping as well, the narratives that Drake has been fighting as the pop rap, McDonald's of rap guy will forever be solidified. The story people will tell will be Drake was running around as the face of rap for a decade because Kendrick let him do that. And as soon as Drake ran into somebody that he didn't have an immediate advantage over in terms of popularity or skill, he got squashed and was never the same again. For all the diehard Drake fans, how unfortunate for y'all would that be? For every time y'all talk about Drake, people want to talk about how after the beef, he was never the same. Kendrick stole his soul.
Yeah, he cooking right now. I'm gonna run that back. He is cooking. That's actually true what he's saying. This is why I said this album. I said on my other channel that I believe this album's gonna be feminine. I believe it's gonna be feminine. I believe it's gonna be a little feminine. But when Maul says it's a bomb on here, if he only heard one song and if he heard the album and he says only one song is a bomb, then I think he's thinking that song is gonna be out of here. There's a couple of songs on this Sexy Songs for You that I thought was actually out of here, and they wasn't. So you gotta understand, people are real fickle, and people want to hear something different. If you do something that is kind of like what you've been doing, and they're over that, yeah, they're gonna be like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to hear this.
Kendrick told him he likes him with the melodies. He doesn't like when he acts. I'll talk about Drake. People want to talk about how after the beef, he was never the same. Kendrick stole his soul. Kendrick told him he likes him with the melodies. He doesn't like when he acts tough. And Drake never really tried to rap again. As soon as Drake ran into some commotion, he ran into a sticky situation in the hip hop space, he jumped out of it. He left. He got out when the kitchen got hot. And that's always been a narrative that the people that really didn't like Drake have pushed about him since the beginning of his career. And he finally fulfilled that prophecy when their savior and chosen one of the story, Kendrick Lamar, finally slayed the dragon that was Drake. Drake has done so much in his career that I understand him getting to a point of just like kind of taking it easy, making music, having a little bit of fun, and just accepting and bringing in all the massive rewards that come with it every single time. But the whole world was making you the butt of the joke not even a year ago. They still kind of are, but it's not as bad now, but not even a year ago. And again, at the Super Bowl. If that isn't enough to inspire Drake to get in his bag, to really start rapping again, to really have that fire and really make some amazing music, then honestly, in my opinion, he just needs to retire, bro.
Yeah, I feel the same way. If he ain't gonna take it serious by now, then I don't know what to say. I mean, what is he really gonna do though? At this point, what is he really gonna do to Kendrick? Nothing at all. But he's right. He's absolutely right.
I know that sounds a bit drastic, but if that isn't enough to inspire you to really get in your bag and create something amazing, or at least try to and attempt to create something truly, truly incredible, there's no point in him continuing to rap. There's no point in him continuing to make music, because at this point, he's just going to be slowly but surely chipping away at and destroying the legacy that he's been building for the last 20 years or so. There's so much material for Drake to use for this Iceman album that I am expecting a genuine classic. If Drake really is a GOAT level artist, a GOAT level rapper, then there's no excuse for this album to be really anything but a classic. Like, if anything, Drake making an amazing album at this point of his career would be huge. It'd be one of the biggest things to ever really happen to him. Drake having a sort of like comeback story would be one of the biggest and craziest things to happen in rap. Like, one where like the music is just so good on this album that even Drake's biggest haters and biggest detractors have to at least give him a W on this front. They don't have to give him a W in the beef. That's never going to happen. Or a W over Kendrick Lamar as the GOAT. But like, even to where his biggest haters are like, yeah, I don't like Drake, but that album is a banger. The diss battle is over. That's dead. It's not like, I think that's dead. I'm sorry. Unless Drake is
I don't know. If it depends on what the Iceman is doing. If he's implying that he is the Iceman, the real Iceman, the Richard Kuklinski Iceman, then he most likely is going to try to diss Kendrick again. I will say this, and you know the crazy thing is, I wonder how people going to react when Drake showed up at award shows. I wonder how they're going to react now. Because I don't really see him going to award shows. But I wonder how they're going to react if he shows up. It's crazy how Kendrick Lamar he uninvited him to all these shows, even though he didn't say that. Kendrick really did he played some voodoo on Drake, man. That was crazy.
come back with a song where in the music video, he's showing a video of like Kendrick Lamar like with a minor. Like that's like the only thing, which would be really weird. Like, why would you have that and where would you get that? But regardless of how that would happen and the logistics, that's like the only way where Drake would be able to do anything in a diss battle at this point. I think it's cooked. But there are other fronts that he can continue to fight this battle on, because for as much as this diss battle is over and Kendrick is the winner, the beef is not dead between the two. The two sides still very much don't like each other and still will do just about anything legally to undercut each other where they can. And Drake can continue to fight this battle on the front of popularity, on the front of money, but most importantly, on the front of quality music that they're dropping now, post-beef, post-battle. And that would quickly become the narrative. If Drake were to drop a classic album with Iceman, you just know the Aubrey's Angels would be on Twitter being like, see, Kendrick's still performing stuff from the diss. Oh my God, GNX, you're really comparing GNX to Iceman? This album's a banger. GNX was, bro, he's still performing not like us. Bro's performing not like us. We're on to a new classic out. Like, you can kind of see where that battle would be on Twitter, and that would get really toxic. But whatever, regardless, if you made it this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Let me know what you think down below about Iceman. What does Drake have to do? Does he have to drop a legacy-defining album? Does this album have to be a classic? Or does it not really matter, and maybe I'm just talking? If you made it this far anyway, though, I greatly...
Yeah, I agree. He definitely got to drop something. Some people don't care. Some people just want new music from him, but he got to drop something that's going to do something. He have to. Because if he don't, he drops something just regular, yeah, people going to feel some type of way. And if you listen to For All the Dogs, you listen to Certified Lover Boy and all these albums that are not that great, and then he comes with this, to me, his last good project was Her Loss. I thought that was a pretty good project. But outside of that, For All the Dogs, no, it's not that good of a project. And Certified Lover Boy, nah, it's not that good of a project. So, who knows? But we'll see what happens. Thank y'all for joining me. Torture Talk After Hours. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace. Bye.